Yeah. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this month's meeting of the full council of Stanley Town Council, which is being held at the Greenhouse Greencroft Business Park on Tuesday, the 27th. Wait. Sorry, I've got the wrong date. 26th. 26th. Yeah. 26th of March, 2024. Before we start the agenda, I would just like to say that could you all turn your mobile phones to silent, please? And there are no fire drills expected this evening. Safety exits are out, fire exits are out that way, and turn to your left. Apologies for absence. I have two apologies here from Councillor Sam McMahon, who is at the Works Conference in York, and Councillor John Nicholson, who is doing Shrewsbury duties tonight, but it's High Sheriff, so Shrewsbury, yeah. Yes.
Can I put Councillor John McMahon's apologies in as well?
Joe's at work. Okay. Anyone else got any apologies? No? Okay. Are there any declarations of interest for any item that will appear on tonight's agenda? Anybody? No? If anybody thinks of anything, you can just declare them as we get to it. Mayor's announcements. I don't have any. Alex, have you got any? No. Just to say that one of our town wardens, held a fundraising for Chuff on Saturday, and there was quite a lot of us there, and it was very, very good. It was really well, and I hope he's raised an awful lot of money. Joan was there in her capacity as the chair of the county council. Now is there as the town mayor's family. We just hope he has made lots of money, but I don't know how much. Okay. Leader statements. Have you anything in that, Jeanette?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's meeting. Firstly, I would like to welcome back Stuart Wardle to the Stanley Town Council, and Stuart will be supporting our leadership team with all things strategic and legal to ensure that we are complying with all of our statutory requirements as Town Council. So thank you, Stuart, and welcome. I would just like to draw members' attention to the update on Facebook, and we have quite a few members who were part of that in the audience. This situation has had a significant effect on the morale of the team, who have to say worked so hard to keep the council going, and every member of the team has been affected. And so, as councillors, it's our duty to support our staff. We have a duty of care for their health and well-being, which has been affected by what's playing out on social media. Social media can be a very difficult medium, but I do welcome the fact that the situation has led us to receiving people here tonight to join us in the meeting, and to also receiving a number of questions from our communities. Public engagement and communication with our community is something that we as a town council are clear we need to get better at. All of the questions that we've received will be answered in this public participation section of the agenda. This has been done quite deliberately so that all questions can be asked and answered in the most transparent way, and that everything is on public record, and then all individual people will be provided with answers to their questions after full council has taken place. The team has searched our paper records and our online records in order to provide the answers for the questions that have been posed. And the answers that are going to be provided tonight have been evidenced by these records and by information received by our partners, and are all correct, actual and unbiased. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jeanette. Right. We're now at the public participation part of our meeting tonight, and I'm going to ask for the suspension of standing orders to allow for the answering of all the questions we've received. Normally, this only takes 15 minutes, but by suspending standing orders, we can take as much time as we need to answer all the questions we've received. Have I got an agreement on that?
Yep.
Thank you. And so now I'm going to hand over to Stuart, who I believe has got a list of questions there and the answers. Okay.
Yeah, hi everybody. Some might remember me, some might, I think I did interim town clerk for, I think, the age ago, 2022, and to give them a hand on the current arrangement. So, unfortunately, Anna's been at this proper officer, she's on holiday, so when the questions came in, it's took me quite a bit of digging about to find all the information answers. But I've got my crib sheets here, so hopefully I've got most of the answers for everyone. I think I wanted just really to say is that I think a lot of people get confused with town councils and parish councils. In effect, because it's called a town, there's no different than a parish council, whether they're big or small. But they are what used to be classed as the third tier of local government. First tier was classed as your counties or your big unity authorities, and then you had your districts. And then, of course, in County Durham, all the districts in the county merged into one. So we lost Derwentshire into unity authority. And Stanley Town Council was created because there was no parish or town council here to try and fill that gap at that lower level. So the functions of town councils vary enormously depending on the assets. A lot of them look after parks, play areas, where they've been transferred. And particularly in County Durham, ex-miners welfare places, a lot of them taken over by parish councils. So with Stanley being a new one, they've taken over some of the things voluntarily, like say, for example, when they took over the City Hall. But more than anything else, they've invested in looking at environmental services, providing improved, shall we say, work in relation to antisocial behaviour through the wardens and things like that, because that was what the people of Stanley identified when we created the core areas. And more recently, they're now going to have to take over the allotments because they should have been taken over when Derwentshire ended transfer the county. It never happened. So basically, you've issued with a fatal complaint, you get them, and there's no other like that. So there's going to be some resources taken on that. So it's not to get mixed up. So the county council look after basically the main services. A lot of them are contracted out, say like housing, etc. Right where it was there, but they look after highways, education, etc. And what we often find as a parish or local council, we get inundated with all the complaints from everybody at whatever level or whatever tier, and that's probably a good thing because it shows that you're close to the people, you're on the ground, the ones that people relate to. But sometimes we get all the complaints of all the things that are outside of our control. The key thing when I came in, I'm acting as a temporary clerk after you had an interim clerk, and I think the cost has become quite prohibitive. So I've come in to help out where I can on the governance of the legal arrangements that need to be undertaken as part of a more strategic review from town council going forward. And it's to help the existing staff in those processes and the members as well. But I just thought it'd be useful to give a little bit of a background where our responsibilities start and where they end. So I've got loads of questions, and if anybody wants to add to them, or if you put the hand up, then I know who they are because I don't know who they're from. First one was from Sarah Kelly. Sarah, hi Sarah. Your first question was, who signed the lease when the Civic Hall was taken over in 2013? It was one of my little pet subjects when I worked here a couple of years ago at Civic Hall, because it was costing, did I say, in excess of what, 350,000, 400,000 pounds a year? That's what was costing the people of Stanley. The lease was signed on the 13th June 2015. It was signed by Councillor Ron Harrison, and that was it. So that was, is that what you're after?
Yeah.
Right. Another one from Sarah. Could you confirm the town council councillors that make up for the years the town council had the lease for the City Hall, which was 2013 to the present day? So there was 3 elections for 2013, 2017, 2021. I have to look all these up because I didn't have a clue. And thanks to the staff of that, the May 23 elected 8 Labour councillors. They resigned from the Labour Party. But the phrase they used to Stanley, they walked the floor. So I think they walked out and then came back as something else. And they became the Derwentshire Independent Councillors, which meant the political control for the town council changed from Labour to Derwentshire at that stage. And after that, what went on? Am I wrong with that?
You're wrong with
Okay,
that.
fine.
Completely wrong with that.
Okay.
They did walk the floor. None of them became Derwentshire independents.
Okay.
They became independents.
Okay. My apologies. That was my understanding. So, and I'll probably get some of these wrong because my history isn't great. So I will try and get them right. But thank you for correcting me on that one.
What was the political makeup of the council then?
At the time, when it was taken over, was Labour, as I said, and then there was the change of that, and then obviously Labour third time. Wasn't it now? Yeah. I thought that was fairly evident in what I said.
Well, no, you said eight, then became that.
Well, okay, I'll repeat what I said, so there's no going to doubt. I said in 2013 with Labour Council, that's when they took over. And then on the second stage was the floor had changed, the control, and then obviously the last one is the current. That's okay.
Yeah.
Another one from Sarah. Can I confirm the first 70-page structural quote D3 was commissioned, highlighted the maintenance need to keep the Civic Hall? Yeah, unfortunately, that's something I'm very familiar with because I did the review of the Civic Hall. So that was produced in July 2013 and it set out absolutely loads. In fact, from my memory, I think there was a maintenance plan over 10 years that set out something like expansion the regional members bank correctly. Don't quote me on these except it was in excess of £5 million. That was just for everyday maintenance for a 10-year plan. That's the issue. I did some further work after that. We brought D3 in again to bring up the 2013 figures up to date, and that formed the basis of an options appraisal which was presented to council in 2022. And that was on the basis that basically they set out the options between do nothing, do something, etc. And I guess at some point subsequent to that, you made the decision to give up the Civic Hall. It's okay. Could you confirm?
So, can I,
So,
Yeah, sure.
between the first report and the second report, was there any maintenance done?
Yeah, there was day-to-day maintenance, essential things done. There was some alterations. A cafe was provided. Tried to encourage more in there. The problem was, to be fair, even at the very time it was took over, it was in a poor state of repair. Out of five boilers, I think it was 2 that were operational, and they were even then at end of life. So the fact that they kept them ticking over, they got to a stage where the roof was leaking in, there was lots and lots of issues at the time. And to be fair, I don't understand why there wasn't a dilapidation survey done at the time they took over the lease, because that should have created the benefit of where it was there.
And who took over the lease?
Town council.
Did they go?
But they didn't take over the lease, they took the building on because at the time it was going to close. And from my understanding, from all the previous information, it was classed as a really important community asset. And I can't remember, it was an external contractor out Leisure Group at the time that they moved out. So basically it was going to be a redundant building. And Stanley Town Council thought they could use part of the building for their offices, use that to hopefully support that going forward. That was back in 2013. That's what I'm saying. Can you confirm again, Sarah, who was responsible for the maintenance of the Civic Hall during the leasehold? Well, obviously that was the Town Council. This one's from Sarah as well. Can you summarise the purpose of Stanley Town Council? Yeah, it's a body created by statute. It has legal powers. The legal powers can only be undertaken if there is a statutory authority to do that. It has discretionary powers if it wishes to use them under for economic regeneration. It meets certain criteria. But basically, it was classed as the third tier or the second tier, and the government is trying to encourage more to get more communities involved, people getting involved with local decisions right on their doorstep. It's got slightly more complicated because with the Unity County Council being created, where you had the district that created, if you say, the closeness, when that went, that's where it created the demand, because basically you've had the county council and then nothing. So, and if you need more information, I can send you some links that will give you a lot of history. A lot of them start in 1888, believe it or not. Council I actually work for is being done there, and I'm actually only the fourth clerk in this history. But Stanley's is one of the is probably the newest in County Down. It was 2009 the order was made, 2010.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would be interested in that.
And that was done on the basis, I think it was a public petition as well. So Germans had to do a full consultation with them. Is it Billy Johnson? Is it Billy Johnson? I've got a question from Billy Johnson.
Oh, it's not here, but just
Yeah, so it says, what does SPC do? I've just answered the question. Can I ask what Stanley Council do? Laura Pitt, what is the full list of the benefits you provide Stanley from A. Smith? You're not here either. So the benefits would be local services, local to your community, try to look at local priorities. And the perfect example I would use is your warden scheme. where Stanley provide an additional service to provide that. The difficulty is the world that we live in is changing really, really quick, and people's demands are becoming higher and higher, and cost of living crisis having even more of an impact. So the demands are increasing, and sometimes the town and parish council have to look at different ways of how to provide services or to support other providers who can provide those services more effectively. So in other words, they might look at, say, a perfect example would be later to a presentation from this lady who provide all the advice for people in Stanley and things like that. So Stanley support that because that's a much more effective way of providing that service than people find themselves using those experts. With the benefit, of course, with the community at the centre of that. So I've got a drink of water in there.
Should we get to begin?
I don't know how much. It'll keep it short. So, question again from Billy Johnson: what was the reason for a 12.5% increase in the council tax precept? Could someone explain the parish council the justification of the increase, which is from John Malpass? John here? He's not here. Seeing as the increase in the council tax for the year is 12.5% Stanley Town Council, can you tell me what you do for me and why do we need the Town Council and what you're going to do with the money? Mark Howard? Mark Frosty? Okay. And why is there been an increase in council tax? So, precept sounds like a strange word. It goes back in history. It means that a parish or a town council can precept on at the time it was the rating authority, which was your large council, now with council tax authority, an amount of money that they need to provide the functions. Historically, they used to provide things like wash houses, workhouses, baths. Some of the local authorities provide cemeteries. So there were the services that were really local, and the precept was basically a tax that was put on the community that went towards it. That's basically how it runs. So for Stanley, there has been an increase, 12.5%. The majority of that is because of the budget requirements. So they set up a budget and they reviewed that during the year back up to about November, because by January time they've got to submit that to the county council, and it works out basically all the income, all the expenditure, what the costs are, what they anticipate, interest, different grant payments, and it comes out with basically a budget, and then that tells how much money they would need. So when that was done, a couple of issues that had an impact. One was the county council had specifically implemented the rule that the allotments that were originally downside were going to be transferred with effect from next, is it Monday, next 1st of April, to Stanley Town Council. There'll be a year's transition plan, but in effect, all the allotments have to be managed by the Town Council. No choice in that matter. In fact, to be fair, the Town Council has tried the hardest to avoid that for about the last X number of years and got away with it very, very well, but they can't go with it any further. It should have actually transferred when Derwentsside went. So that came on. So the difficulty with allotments, I don't know if anybody knows anything about allotments, is that they don't make any money. They usually cost you quite a lot of money. The cost of service and repairs, maintenance, send out agreements, etc. And I did look at some brief figures on Friday, and roughly, James, you might be able to help me. What's roughly the income of the allotments transferring? So about 5-6 grand income.
Yeah,
£5,600, and for that income, we can only use that money purely for allotments. We can't use it to subsidise any other service. But we're going to have to employ a full-time person to manage them. We have to bring in new software. We have to bring in new billing things, bring in tenancy agreements, and all the arrangements associated with that. It actually costs the county council more money to provide the services, and basically that's coming to us.
Is that 35,000 charge?
There's a big chunk of it going to come from that. Yes, there's a big chunk of it. Just think of a standard wage. By the time you put employees' cost, national insurance, or your cost on that, you're talking at least 35,000. But they are looking at ways to see where we can do that, and say, for example, where there's associations. And I'm working with the working group. I'm starting to work with that to see what sensible ways can we do. Could we perhaps create an allotments charity that oversees it, so it moves away from the town council, where we can provide some funding to them, but they then manage it. The problem is that works as long as it works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, the bounces straight back to the town council. You've got to pick up the pieces. So you can imagine that was a bit of a bombshell, but that came in there. The core thing would have been they're really trying to invest in frontline services as well. And the big issue has been all the overhead costs, cost of living, it's affected us just the same. Obviously, there's been an increase in wages. There's been costing of supplies now is just ridiculous. If anybody's in the construction trade, they'll tell you the cost over the last few years, it's just about energy costs and everything. And part of that, and part of what the town council tried to do, is look at the overall budget. I'm fairly positive. I'll look to the members to say the decision on handing back the civic hall will have been on the basis of the cost of that in the longer term, even though despite there could be a potential claim back at the town council for costs associated with dilapidation over that period. I think we've got a strong case that the dilapidation isn't much worse than what it was when they actually took it on. In fact, it might have been a little bit better. So, but we'll say that that'll go through its due process. And I think the other thing is, when I checked through, I know it hasn't been an easy decision for the town council to do that because of the cost of living crisis and the impact on that. But they've got to look at the longer term here as well. So the simple choice is you've got to make it fit. And I think the previous years, the council tax rise was very, very small. This year, predominantly, the rise has been to make up for those additional costs. In effect, if you work out the figures, but if you work it out, it doesn't work out. When you work it out, it sounds like a huge increase. When you work it out across that, and something like, I think the figures were something like, because the people on council tax expenses, something like almost is it 30% of the actual tax base in Stanley. In fact, it's 25-30% don't actually pay council tax at all. So
Yeah, the people who do don't, from my point of view, I don't see value for money
yeah.
for what I'm paying.
Well, I think the key thing is, and to be fair, I only came in last week, so I've done a lot of work to try and catch up with these questions. All I can say from an outsider coming in is I've been really impressed with what I think the plans are. I think they're going to be a lot more customer focused, a lot more involving the community in the decisions that will be in the priorities, etc. But the big issue for Stanley, and you've had this when I came in last time, there's a lot of petty politics goes on.
The big issue for me is the fact that,
And what can I just finish?
yeah, sorry.
What that happens, it distracts them from doing the good things that they need to do.
Yeah.
Because they spend so much time putting fires out and chasing around, and it's a distraction from them. And I said that 2 years ago, and I've seen it already in the last week. So I'll be reporting back to council at some point on a strategic direction, and I'll make it quite clear at that point. They know, members know where I'm like.
Yeah.
I'll just lay it on the line. You either like it, take it. If you don't want to follow me, everybody else in. Not that easy.
Not easy.
It is it actually is. If everybody starts working together and you've got a very clear plan and strategy, because people now, the communities now need the town council, your support agencies, I think more than they ever have. And I'm sure the presentation later will give you that back. I know from back, I'm from one of the most deprived areas in County Down, from Shotton. And we've just managed to pull in as a little parish council. We managed to put in 1.5 million net funding for a new youth home. Those facilities are available, it's funding available. You've just got to be working smart and working together. If you're not working together, working in partnership, not pulling this together, you're not going to. Do you know what the contribution grant is for that funding? 100%. Do you know what's cost the parish council? About £3 grand, and we got 1.5 million. It can be done. Thank you. So. And I'm slightly excited, but at the same time I'm excited with some trepidation of whether Stanley falls into the same hole. I can't say that, can I?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, jeez.
You like to do it.
So is that okay? That one was for Sarah. Another one, Sarah. Could you indicate why 500,000 was spent on Stanley Front Street, where it is apparent that Durham County Council responsible for the Front Street? Durham County Council aren't responsible for the Front Street. It was a shared initiative between Durham County and Stanley. It was all part of what was it called again? The and basically the town council put some funding in together with other partners to bring about that redevelopment. To be fair, if you get economic decline starts to hit into places, it gets to a level and it just deteriorates. You've got to try and maintain that as high as you can. The key one was Durham County Council was partners. Was it called the public realm? I've got a note. I've got public realm here. First time for street. It was 200k went out in 2013-14, and then the second tranche was agreed at council back in 2015, and they agreed for some more. And there was public consultation before that took place, and the committee all welcomed the improvements. In fact, I remember it was a big public consultation, and it was one of the core areas. Stanley Front Street improvements was what people highlighted. He wanted so, and by Stanley putting some money into that, they felt they were investing back into town, and that investment supported by the other investment brought about that. But you look now and you think, where's it gone? So there's a question: can you confirm or deny that a profit-making business is housed in the Just for Women building that has been purchased by Stanley Town Council and currently pays building? I can confirm there's definitely no profit-making building. That is an absolutely just what's it called, a community interest company, charity. All the money from that has to be reinvested there, and there is definitely no profit from that. So, any questions about their governments, their arrangements? That's not a matter for us. That's a matter for you to take up with them.
Yeah.
But all I would say is that the town council, with its policy procedures, has steps in place that will ensure that that's the word I'm looking for. The meet a minimum standards and requirements, but they've been in operation for many years. That's why the town council supports them.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, instead of we just weren't getting the building of the wall, was there any consideration to put it into the city council that we kept all of the
I think this was after that, and all I can say is what date was the city council took over back in 2013?
Yeah.
2013, and basically handed over. It was last year. So 2013, 2023, that's 10 years. 10 years of trying to get investment to invest in there and other things. And the last report, which was on my advice to town council, got dedicated to do a full refresh. We brought in all the arts expert advice and everything, and we could not come up with a plan that made it even come to break even. It was still at the very, very best going to cost the residents of Stanley 300,000 off the top of your head. I remember what made 300,000 a year. Do you know the problem is? It was just too big, too expensive to run.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question? Yeah.
Sure.
Is that all right? The peppercorn rent will be due to review either this year or next year. Is there any plans for Just for Women? Because it was taken on a 7-year peppercorn and then it was to be reviewed.
Yeah, well, I would. My guess would the reason why you set a peppercorn rent is because you're not charging. It's a number. There has to be a value, or the legal terms. There has to be a consideration, and that's why it's called a peppercorn, which is.
But it was taken for 7 years.
It will be. So what will happen when the lease is due for renewal? That will be renegotiated. I would say in all likelihood that lease would probably still be on a peppercorn rent basis.
Okay.
Sorry.
If I can just
Yes,
add,
yes, sure.
if I can just add to what Stuart was saying, the councillors have been in discussion since the budget setting, looking at the potential of either a rental or they have made an interest in purchasing a building. So there's something that we will be looking at other than
Extend the lease. So it would just guess if it's due for renewal, that's what we do. So our next question is from Sarah. So, Sarah, you
I know I didn't have a
should have done an audience for Sarah, and I would bring her. No. Is there a declaration of conflict of interest between Stanley Town Council and the profit making company Stanley Events? If so, where might I view the document, Sarah Kenny? And do all your councils have a declaration of interest published? Smith. Yes, all declaration of interest published. Also, copies are sent to the monitoring officer of Durham County Council, so they hold them. If the county councils, they do exactly the same. So if you both the town council and the county council, you'll do a declaration of interest in town, you'll also do one there, and they are publicly available. And if necessary, they get updated. That's always the case. Plus, if you notice, every agenda there's an item declaration of interest, because you may have a general interest. Because, for example, like just say I was a councillor and I actually have an allotment. If you start discussing allotment rents, I should declare an interest because there's a reason for that. And I could declare that on the agenda at that point in time, and then I would go from there. So that's what. And as far as
Sorry, where will I find this?
what the declaration,
Yeah.
the declaration of interest, they just
So when you go on the website, and you click on a councillor's picture,
Yeah.
below it, it says declarations of interest. You can click on that and that will give you their form that they've declared their interests.
yeah, and a copy of the form that is from there. And if there's some personal summaries, that can sometimes be redacted, but generally it's all available there. It's all about openness and transparency. So the thing about standing events is nothing directly to do with the town council. If there was a member of the council involved with that, which obviously there is, it was like that came up and then had an interest, they would have to kind of interest. So, but that would apply to, as I said, if you're allotment holder or if you had any strong connection with that. And my advice always to the council: if you're in doubt, you're not quite sure, declare an interest, because sometimes it's not what is a fact; it's sometimes how it's perceived. My advice is always to councillors: if you feel there's potential of that, of any sort of conflict or any suggestion of that, it's easier to declare than not.
I do agree, there is a perception out there, at least.
Yeah, it can be, but sometimes some people have perceptions and they can completely ill-founded. So all I know from my work with my knowledge of the standing events, I've seen a lot of. Again, I think it's a non-profit organisation. The whole idea is to work together to promote standing as well. So
I couldn't find it on Company's House.
that's probably why it won't be a company as such.
There is a company on there.
Yeah.
It is in Stanley, but I don't think that's the right one. 'Cause they've got the.
Again, I don't know. I don't know familiar. Yeah, but I might be able to get some information. But I probably think there could be a CIC as well. Could be. So, question: where does my money go? Laura Pitt. What does my money get spent on? Billy Johnson. What is the loan for the transaction list you published? Yes, Smith. And can you help me on the loan? Because I don't know what that one was.
Yes, so
Thank God, because I couldn't find that one.
we have currently 2 loans on the go. One was taken out £200,000 on Civic Hall upgrades, and that was used to replace windows, kitchen, the roof, lots of kind of major items came out of that. And then the second loan is the loan we took out to buy St Joseph's House, which is where Just for Women is currently housed.
Was the referendum, sorry, forgetting to put my hands in. Was the referendums taken on that? Did we need a referendum for the public money to be spent on those loans, or did we not need a referendum by law?
No, the town council has, as I said, it's the legal term they say they are.
Consultation.
Well, yeah, well,
Consultation.
the creature statute, but once they created, when you elect your council to sit around this table, those are the people that are making the decision. They have the power within the powers that's granted. You can't do anything. You can only do things that the law says they are able to do. So you can have the assurance to say you can't do that unless they actually have the legal power to do it. But sometimes it's that investment, because if you're not careful, if you continue renting or you do revenue pay forever, where you've got the asset value, which then increases over time. So all those decisions be taken into account, but there'll be no need to take a referendum. I guess at the end of the day, after voting, if you weren't happy, you can go to the ballot box and you vote about. If you weren't happy, that's how it works, I guess. What was the other part of that? Where does your money go? Well, all I would say is you can go on the website and you get full detailed breakdown of absolutely. You don't even. I was impressed. You don't even just show the summary. On mine, you'll see a summary. You break it down to each element and each element down the breakdown. So if you want to say them, you published back to 2015, and then prior to that, this paper records. So that would, to be fair, I wouldn't expect them to go back and try and scan those old paper records. It's more sufficient. Go back before 2015. It's not there, but there's copies of the accounts. Published accounts will still be available. So you get them from there. All the functions that they can provide, so from the play in the park, events, etc. etc.
So when you say staff, I know like the town council doesn't get paid, so who is getting paid by the town council?
You'd have your clerk, your officers, your staff, your wardens, your environment service staff. Altogether, how many staff are employed at the moment?
I don't know.
Yeah, about 8 or 9.
8 or 9?
Yeah.
Cause is this Stafford bill not half the precinct?
It probably.
Probably.
No, it won't be that
It's
amount.
about 300,000?
Yeah, but you've got to remember that's not just salary.
No.
You've got your salary, plus you've got your contributions, plus your employers' costs, your employers' national insurance, pension contributions, etc. etc. Generally,
That seems a lot.
well, generally, I would say if I did a survey of a lot of parish and town council, you look at the actual stuff, because it is the biggest element, you'll probably find that it represents between 40 and 50% of the precinct.
I would phrase that. It's perceived as a lot.
Yeah, and it's going to slightly increase because of the allotments, we would have to take on allotment staff as well.
It's actually the staff. I just have some more.
And I think the key thing is, yeah, it's understandable. I think is you got members, elected councillors, they are residents just the same. So they want that value for money. So they sat around the table as councillors, with probably the same views of you. The only slight difference what they'll have is their awareness of what they can do, what they can't do, and what it costs is probably a lot more than what yours will be. And it's not easy, is it?
No.
For sitting on the councils, it's not easy.
Just clarification, it's 11 members of staff.
Yeah, because of course I've got part-time as well. And I won't be one of them, I'm just temporarily doing a bit of contract, so. Some of the things they play in the park, minus Sunday, firework display, the Remembrance Days, the memorials. On the environmental service, you've got community safety, neighbourhood wardens, the dog fouling, empty yards, the winter maintenance, the environment public realm events, improvements, the Stanley and Bloom and Good Fun events. Then we do grant funding to other organisations, we do direct support, like for example, sorry, I'm using because why not? And the examples you've used before with the other groups, advice surgeries, etc. Another question was why the general public can't see where our money is being spent. Jane Atkinson, well, I don't know. Well, sorry, Jane, I don't know where you go. Sorry, Janice.
I was looking for the budget.
Did you find it?
Find the budget and very kindly sent it.
That's right. If you go on the
Well, it took a
website, you should find it there.
It took a while.
And if you get blinded with science, I'll tell you. I think you felt loads wiser after you found it, did you?
No, I was like, oh, have you ever tried looking at the budget on?
No.
It's really hard.
No. Unfortunately, the thing is Stanley's does quite a detailed budget. So yeah, sure.
Just to add to that, Stuart,
Sorry.
Janet, I have since uploaded it onto the website because you were right, it was missing. If you want a paper copy, I'm happy to post one. Yes.
Next question was from Smith. Why did the county council accuse Stanley Town Council of being incompetent when it comes to managing finances? I have no idea what that is. There's been no formal customer many during the council does. Every year, also subject to a governance review. It's called that accountability return. It used to be an audit, because there's an audit and it's external. And basically, they review the governance process, the procedures in place, and they provide a report externally saying the condition of Stanley, and there hasn't been anything to criticise that. And also, there's a continuous internal audit report, and then they have the one finance officer that does the finance does reports there. So there hasn't anything. So I think that's a little bit of somebody staring. I wouldn't have thought Down County Council would do that.
So what will happen with the article by the Northern Echo? Say that.
Which article?
There's an article in the Northern Echo that says that what we just said in there.
I have no idea. Let me have a look at the article. If you can let me have a copy of it, I'm more than happy to have a look. Are you sure it says Down County Council, or was it a councillor?
It was a councillor.
Well, that's slightly different, isn't it? That's slightly different a question.
I got it on my phone, but I can't remember.
Well, hang on a minute. first thing is we need to check, was that councillor representing the views of Durham County
He was
Council?
an asset holder, he was a portfolio holder for assets.
I'd love to see it.
I find it fine.
I'd love to see it.
I have seen that.
Brilliant. But the question wasn't that, so that's it. If it was, I would say that somebody has got some. You got to be careful of politics and people doing that sort of thing. Don't let them lead you completely astray. It sounds to me what you just said there. That's what it is. Because I can almost tell you now, Durham County Council has actually no authority to govern finance and Stanley Town Council. So, what rules do you have in place for running tenders? It's from A. Smith. How do you choose which companies and charities receive funding? Again, through the governance process, but the council has its own set of standing orders and financial regs. Financial regs will set out the arrangements for procurement services within certain limits, and some of those limits are set out statutory, so they have to meet those as well. But within the budgets, the council have a responsibility to provide what they call best value. So what that means is when they consider it, you've got to consider best value. And the world's changed quite a lot lately, because sometimes people say best value is the cheapest, but actually often it isn't. So I'll give you a little example. We were looking at a firm to build this new youth hub in Shotton, and they offered us to go through the special procurement process. They did a fast track where it would be done. All the firms on the fast track were approved tenders were from Leeds, Nottingham, Scotland. There wasn't one in the northeast of England. And that would have been the cheap option. We went out to a full public procurement exercise, went through that. We got a firm leading off from Chester Street that got the job, employed local people. That money stayed in County Durham, and they won that job. So sometimes you work on the value of the procurement. There's lots of factors involved. So it's not a simple matter, the cheapest is the best. You've got to take into account lots of factors. And the council is obliged through their standing laws and financial regs to undertake those steps. And which charities receive funding? Somebody will make a submission to the town council, they'll consider it, they might ask for some background information, what's the benefits, what service will be provided, what will be the outputs, what's the outcomes, what's their governance arrangements, can I have a copy of their accounts, etc. And then they'll make a decision. And they might decide yes, they will. They might decide no, they won't. So it's completely discretionary. So yeah, I'm getting towards the end, I think. Oh yes, I am. I thought I made a page. How do you assess value for money to renew services? I'm not quite sure, unless I've just answered that there. There's lots of factors, but there could be, obviously, cost is one, and generally quality is the other. And some of those things aren't easy, but normally, if you're going to review a service or a procurement, you'll set out the basis on which you're going to do that review into a score matrix. So value for money for services, one of the things that town council are looking at is doing some sampling with adjacent parish and town council, see where's good practice, and we can do some service provision. The only thing what I will say is, I've worked on local government now for 40 something years, and there's only one standing. Seriously, there is. You're quite a unique area. It's, first of all, it's massive as far as the population is concerned, but it's very spread out and diverse. It's not as if you just like if you looked at, say, Sealand, it's a town. Stanley, you're spread out with a lot, and that makes sometimes providing service not as easy, because you could provide a central point for people out in the outlying village stuff like that. So it means your services could be slightly more expensive because they spread out over that wider area. How many residents are impacted by your regular service, and what evidence do you have for this? All I can say for that is that I think everybody that lives within the Stanley Town Council boundary will be influenced by the services that we provide, one way or the other. Particularly, I'm just looking at environmental service. It must touch on just about everyone. And I think the key thing what I would say is that, particularly with the cost of living crisis, because that's probably a lot of the reason why people are feeling concerned, was that when town councils invested in those services, that's providing support to those most in need as well. And I think the other thing is, I shouldn't really jump back as well. One of the other core reasons why the precept went up is we lost 24,000 LCTRS grant this year. So basically, if we stayed exactly the same and hadn't increased the precept, we would have had 23,000, or you've got to put massive hikes in. All the services supported by the town council, and they attend all the full council meetings and they update the council on the benefits of the service. So there's regular reports come through that, which beneficiaries. An example, perfect example. What you read tonight, it was ideal. So if we look to say how many, so we test how many clients. I know 7,905. Does that sound right? Debt advice clients, 2,985. This is between 2018 and 2023. Debt managed written off over 7,013,000. That's a lot of debt write off the service they provided. Total financial gains 9.5 million. Sorry, yeah, is that right? Yeah. Sorry. Perfect example. So by putting that funding that provides to there, that's element money. It doesn't seem like a lot, but actually there's £9.5 million for the same. So I don't think you can understand this, and it'll be lots better than mine. Further services, play in the park, fireworks would cost about 12,000. Environmental service, community safety, the winter maintenance, enhanced service standing compared to elsewhere. So, and honestly, I've run out. Does that help? Do you know what I would think? Instead of telling the town council what we should maybe look at in the future, is just maybe pre-council tax or just post-council tax, just to have an opening and for people coming in and just ask.
Yeah.
Actually, to hide. And I think it was probably a lesson learned. I've just said sometimes it's better to preempt, and I think we could have been better at getting information out ourselves prior to the council tax bills. And one of the things that surprised me is once your precept goes on a certain amount, you provide to the county council a breakdown of your costs. And my understanding was they used to go out with the council tax bill, but they don't. So I don't know if something's changed there. So I'm going to look into that, and maybe in the future we will provide a nice summary breakdown where the cost of where they spent each year. Not have to go through a load of budgets. Something that we can understand.
The town council's one was available to view, but Stanley Town Council's wasn't available to view.
But we send that through to them. So I want to look at that because I didn't understand.
Which was why I got in touch with Anne.
Yeah.
And
I don't understand because we send it to them.
Yeah, I have to fill it out every year as part of the precept demand. And if you don't send it, you're quickly chased up for it.
Well, maybe it's going forward, that's something that we don't wait for them, we stick it on our website.
Yeah, but that's what we look at. In fact, we look at it, provide the information, the format, we would do that anyway. But it would be nice if you done that before, actually. So, guess what? So it's your fault, we're going to improve it. How's that? Is that okay? That's all the questions I'm sorry to say.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that, Stuart. A marathon session there. Can I just say that the people who've asked questions will get written replies if they're not here. They will be sent out to them. Okay. And right, well, we've suspended quite long enough, I think. We're now moving on to item 7 on the agenda. And if you want to, you can go. It's entirely up to you, or you can stay. Right. Partnership groups, council to receive a report from representatives from the Stanley Advice Centre at long last. I'm sorry to know that. Thank you.
So just want to do the presentation.
Oh, the presentation, right? Yeah.
You'll think they're watching you, that's all.
Can you just move the other way out? Thank you very much. So
Right, thank you very much for inviting us to come along this evening to give you an update on Advice and County Durham. So Advice and County Durham are not a delivery partner, but what we have done is we've coordinated advice services in Stanley since 2018. So this is just to give you a bit of an overview of the advice provision in Stanley and what we've achieved over the last well, say 9 months was that the information that's provided, but also since day one in 2018. Got my colleague Peter McClellan, who's the CEO of Durham Christian Partnership, who are debt service, which is the primary service that's funded by Stanley Town Council. So that's all. So really just wanted to kind of recap all the objectives of the advice hub. So back in 2018, like I said, Stanley Town Council were looking at provision of advice service that they funded, and the advice hub in Stanley, which is based in the venue at Weir Road. Basically what we deliver is we are making sure that the community in Stanley get the advice service that they deserve. We've been looking at good practice and about working collaboratively. We've got a 5-day-a-week service for the residents of Stanley and a one-stop shop. The idea is to provide an all-round door advice and to ensure that the advice sector is really working best together to serve the residents of Stanley. So this is what's currently being delivered. Now, this is what's going to be delivered from April. So, Stanley Advice Hub. So we have a food bank in the venue in Stanley on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. That's between 10 and 12. It's also in Anfield Plain on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Tuesday 2 to 4 and Thursday 1 to 4 p.m. Community Money Advice County Durham. That's 5 sessions per week. So 3 of them are in the venue in Stanley. And that also covers appointment based in Anfield Plain on both days that the food bank is present. Citizens Advice. So Citizens Advice is a 2-day-a-week service. This is slightly different to what it was last year, although there'll be no major changes. What it will be is going to be 2 days a week as it was last year, but 1 day will be appointment based and 1 day will be a drop-in service. They also have a National UC Help to Claim service, which is a 4-9, which is connected to that Citizens Advice service. Durham Welfare Rights Service, so that's a 1-day-a-week appointment-based service on a Wednesday. And then we also have Born Group in the venue, Stanley, and in Anfield Plain, and they do drop-ins on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So this is kind of all added value to what you fund at the venue. We have got 2 new additional services that will be coming from April, and that will enhance the offer that you currently have funded. So we have got Age UK County Durham, so that's for people over 50, and also Durham County Carer Service, so that will be an enhancement of the offer, which will be for people who are carers. So that's really a good bit of a day service across the county, across Stanley. Next one. So I just thought it'd be useful. I know Stuart stole me thunder. So actually, this is this year, Stuart, so I can get this one in. So what I did is just provide an overview. This is what we've done since April last year. I got it up to December because it's very difficult to get everybody's stats together up to the end. So what it would be is normally up to the end of March, and we're not there yet. So hence it's up to December. So during that period, we've supported collectively 1,622 clients, an additional 312 clients that have got debt advice support. The debt managed and written off is over £422,000. So that's in terms of debt that's been, in various solutions, so whether it be debt that have actually been written off, debt relief orders, bankruptcy, so it's a lot, and payment plans, etc. Financial gains, it's over £1 million, and that £1 million has obviously gone back into the economy in Stanley for the residents. Also, food banks that have been issued is 618 and 1,080 beneficiaries during that 9-month period, and fuel vouchers being issued was 263. Next one. So I just thought it would be useful, which Stuart shared. So this is what we've done since 2018, and I think it's remarkable the amount of people that have been supported during this 6-year period. It's 7,905 residents in Stanley, and it's do you know what? It's a unique thing that we've got in Stanley. Nowhere else in the county's got it. And it's, you know, I think a lot of people are very envious of that service that you've got, but it just shows what working together can really achieve. You know, way back when a lot of those providers used to kind of fight each other for funding, and now they're really working effectively together. And it's about people being able to walk through one door and get access to any of those services during that week. So overall clients 7,905, debt advice clients 2,985. And if you look at that, that's almost, you know, almost half, less than half, but not far off. A lot of people who are needing that debt support, and that's the funded provision that you actually pay for now, is that debt provision. Debt management, debt written off, over £7 million. That's a phenomenal amount of money, isn't it? You think that people that have got that amount of debt just purely in Stanley areas. And then total financial gains again coming back into the local economy. That's people who's potentially not had the right income, and those services have actually gained that for those people. And I think, you know, during the cost of living crisis, that's been an immense amount of money that's come back into the economy that's really supported those people who really need it. And they would never have had access to it had those services not been there. So I'll hand you over to Peter and he can explain this facts.
Okay. Just to sort of give the context, Durham Christian Partnership is, you know, a charity that runs both the food banks and the community money advice, regulated debt advice. So it comes under my remit. This is just to illustrate really the continuing demand of the new clients being taken on each month. And then below, you know, the debt being resolved. So that's actually once somebody has been through a debt process and the money's written off. Inevitably, that's lumpy because it takes a variable amount of time to deal with somebody's debt. Some cases go through fairly quickly, some cases, you know, take a while. And one of the reasons it takes a while is that a lot of the people who come to us for debt advice are people who are frankly struggling to manage the process themselves. If you've got somebody who's really competent and all the rest of it, they can go online, they can use step change, there's various other mechanisms they can use to resolve the debts for themselves. What we focus on are the people who are either got mental health issues, and debt and mental health go absolutely hand in hand. And you can argue which is the chicken and which is the egg, but it's about the same argument. It's, you know, the two go hand in hand. And we basically do a complete hand holding. I mean, literally from somebody looking with a bag of letters saying, open these for me, I can't bear to look at them. Through to being debt free at the end of it. It's a regulated activity, so we're under the Financial Conduct Authority for the work we do, and we use debt advisors who are regulated. We've had some issues towards the end of last year where we lost some staff and we had great difficulty replacing them. We had one retire, one went to work for BWP, and one left us for other reasons. The happy news for us, not so happy for them, is that the System of Advice had a national debt relief forwarding unit based in Durham, funded by MAPS. Money Advice Pension Service, thank you. That funding was not adequate for the service and they reluctantly decided they had to close it now. In terms of local impact for Durham County, not too bad. It's a national hub. The good news for us is we picked up 6 of their staff who are already trained. We now just need to get them onto our systems and practice. And back to doing face-to-face instead of doing it over the phone. Which for some of them was a huge relief because they really wanted to do that. For others, it's been a bit of a baptism in fire, but telephone advice, which is slightly different from the customer in person. So what we're hoping is that we will latterly we've gone down to doing much more by appointment and less being present sometimes in the food banks. There's always a telephone support line. It's a tricky balance between having somebody present and available on the off chance someone walks in who is maybe hampered in the rest of the work they do, because the face-to-face side is perhaps less than half of the time taken on resolving debt, versus, you know, them being back at the office and not being available, and getting lots of work done. So we try and balance it out. And one of the things we're doing, which if we move on to the next slide, is this what we're calling budget buddies. So we're training volunteers to do the non-regulated work. So they can do things like a benefits check, they can help somebody with their budgeting. They can actually do some of the early stage of data collection for the debt advisors to make the debt advisors more efficient in the time they spend. It's a big ask of a volunteer, and it takes time to train them. With the extra staff we've taken on, they all have a brief to be supporting and training volunteers wherever they are in the country. And that definitely includes Enfield Plain and Stanley. So what we're hoping is that which is, it's not a free service, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than it is to have paid for debt advisors doing the work. And there's a slight confusion, I think, that I've introduced to Sam, and maybe has come across. Previously, you've been funding us for 30 hours a week, and it was £26,000 last year. As has been alluded to, costs have gone up, and I was looking at the salary change from when that was agreed. Our salary costs have gone up 26% in that time, and that's almost because we're a real living wage employer. And actually, our debt advisors don't earn, it's like 10% over the real living wage, so it's not high wage labor, which is partly why we lost people. So we've had to put it down. So that's been a big impact on us, which is a significant portion of the cost. So the 30,000 figure would get 30 hours, which is what we were doing. The alternative is you fund us 26,000, we'll do 26 hours, which is, you know, a small decrease, but obviously keeps the costing the same. I leave that to your discretion to do whichever you pay for it quite happily. As I say, the budget buddies are there. The food bank is doing both food, fuel vouchers, and Vodafone SIM cards now as well. So that will give somebody 6 months of free mobile phone use with around 20 gig of data a month. So it is a significant portion. And just looking at, I was just doing some quick calculations. You know, the value of the food bank over that period from April to December, value of the food just shy of £30,000, and there's probably another £30,000 in fuel vouchers that's gone out in that time. So that again is on top of your provision, because you provide us the facility through the rents and the bank, and we're very grateful for that. Yeah. So that's thank you. We can go to the next one. Right, so this is just the expansion of the budget buddies. And what we're trying to do, COVID was difficult because but we had to change the food bank operation very much to turn up, shows your voucher, here's your food, off you go. Whereas really what we want is a conversation with people coming into the food bank to unpack what's going on in their lives, to make sure they're getting the support they need so they don't need the food bank. you know, we don't want to see anyone because we don't want anybody to need us. It's not that we don't want to see anybody because we don't like seeing people. So we're trying to move more and more back towards kind of more like a cafe environment rather than a doctor's waiting room, which is, I'm afraid, what it has been a little bit more of, certainly standing in the venue. We're working with the volunteers to try and make that much more of a pleasant environment to come to, with other advice providers being there. So, you know, you may not be coming to Figure, you may be coming to see Age UK, you may be coming to see Home Group, you may be coming to do other things to try and take some of that stigma away using Figure. So that's where we're heading. And next slide.
Something?
Back to you.
So the current budget provision looks like this. So the current rental house all services is currently £7,500. That's what it will be from April and the next financial year. So Durham Christian Partnership, which is Peter's service, which includes the Community Money Advice County Durham, debt service, and the food bank, is that 26 or £30,000 per annum, depending on what you decide. That includes drop-in service, appointments, home visits, and the new pilot projects, which Peter's just mentioned around the budget budgets and financial capability project. It also includes the Citizens Advice Service. That funding is funded by DCC, so that's currently funded by their advice services council, and then the Welfare Rights Service is AAP funded. I just wanted to kind of touch on some of the issues that are presenting, and I could probably talk about this all day. But these are some of the main issues that are presenting. So I know we're all affected by the cost of living. Food and fuel are main issues that people are presenting with. I'll touch on the debt stuff as well, because I've actually been chatting to some staff today. But food and fuel has been really impacting a lot of people, and I know the household support fund that the government has kind of been supporting, which has now been extended for further 6 months, has been really, really important to everybody in County Durham, but particularly in Stand, it's been really well utilised. I would say that debt, alongside benefits, is the biggest issue, and there's a lot of issues that are kind of arising, that's coming over the horizon, that's really going to be a big impact. So the government announced in their recent budget that debt relief orders, which currently cost £90, are actually going to, that fee will change from April, so there will be no fee. So what's going to happen is those people who have had to save £90, which could take people a year, also to save that £90, actually will not have that fee to pay from April, which will mean that Peter's service will have a substantial amount more people attending to get that, because they can now access that debt relief support. Also, what's happening is that if we had a car at a value of £2,000, that's increasing to £4,000, and the debt, which is currently a limit of £30,000, is increasing to £50,000. So people who previously may went bankrupt and it cost nearly £700 is going to be eligible for debt relief order, and they're going to get it for free. So what's going to happen is a lot more people are going to be accessing debt services, certainly from April and June. And I think you certainly already started seeing that impact.
And increased complexity with assets, which is much more difficult.
Yeah, so just touching on the debt, they are seeing more people. So previously, a lot of people would be in social landlords, private landlords, social housing. There's a lot more homeowners who are accessing services now. People with more complex needs, people with mental health issues, which is, you know, the numbers are going, they are increasing. So we do anticipate that we will see a dramatic increase to the service. Across the board, debt and benefits are the biggest two issues, and that's county-wide, but Stand reflects the same. We've seen a big increase in necessities such as school uniform. So there's a lot of people accessing grant and charitable support. Universal credit. So universal credit migration started in July 2023. And so that was for people who from April, anybody on any benefits, legacy benefits, will start introducing migration. And what we have seen is a real increase in people getting sanctions a lot of people have started with the migration process, and it's really, really important that people get access to advice because people may lose out on this universal credit. You can get some transitional protection, but you really need that expert advice, and I think that's where the advice services are going to be really key, because if people don't get the right advice, they're going to lose money, and it could be quite a substantial amount of money. We have seen cost of living payments have really made a difference, where all services have seen a dip of people presenting, but as soon as that cost of living payment, probably a week later, we start seeing an increase in people accessing services again. But the cost of the County Council have actually been funding a financial capability programme, and that's having a really big impact countrywide as well as in Stanley, where people can get access to support. I think we've been doing some sessions in Packed House, where people are getting support around the budget and managing their loan. I've already touched on using migration. I'm going to take the last controls up about it. In terms of debt, I was speaking to the debt team today, and I asked what the main issue that people are presenting with. Seen a real increase in people getting car loans, which is quite interesting. A lot more people who own properties and have got mortgages rather than, like I said, on the properties. Significant increase in people with complex needs, mental health issues. People who are in work, a lot of people who are in work are in poverty now and are in debt. We're seeing a lot of people who are coming back who have had previous debt solutions. So they might have had a debt relief order 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and they're coming back because they're in the same situation. So the cost of living has not helped that situation. However, what we have seen, which is kind of a benefit, real benefit of the service, is that under the consumer duty, there's a debt and mental health evidence form that can be made. So people's team have been doing a lot of that. And what that means is that if people have got mental health issues, they can request a legal write-off of the debt. And that's been really successful. So a lot of people who have got debt and are suffering from mental health can access that support through that service. And what's increasingly significant is that previously a lot of people will be accessing service around loans, credit cards, store cards. It's really changed where people are accessing around essential household bills. So it's around energy debt, it's around utility bills, it's around council tax, it's around broadband. So there's a real shift in, so people are still in debt, but it's a real shift in change in what people are accessing around. Next one. So I just thought, I mean, you can share this with everybody afterwards if you want to. Just get some case studies. Just some case studies around the community money advice, how they've really supported some individuals. So here's an example where a lady accessed advice from the debt service. She was to sell her home. She'd been living in a farm apartment and he thought she died. She'd been unable to face returning to live in the property for the last 2 years since he passed away, and she'd been staying with friends. She'd been really struggling with her mental health and her falling behind some bills. And so some of the credits have applied for recovery of these debts through the courts, and enforced the amount only against the value of her home. So she wished to sell the property and needed to negotiate payment arrangements with these creditors, as this had previously prevented the sale going ahead. So they were able to negotiate with their creditors and agree payment plans for those debts. Also, again, obtaining medical evidence of health condition, forwarded that to her non-priority debts and were able to ask for a write-off of them. As a result of their assistance, she's been able to go ahead with the sale of home, and she can now buy her own property and rebuild her life. Next one. Another client sought advice. She recently separated from the partner, had to sell a home. She could no longer afford to live there. She had one child aged 3. She moved into a rented property and had insufficient funds to repay all of the debts that she'd incurred. She also had a car on hire purchase and could no longer afford to make those repayments. She had to return the hire purchase car to the provider and was unable to pay the shortfall of the car loan. They've now been able to assist with a debt relief order, which can include the balance of the car loan with the debt that she's incurred since the breakdown of the relationship. Once that application is complete, she'll be debt free. And that's really alleviated a lot of that stress that's been incurred. Next one. Oh, that's me. That's me. Yes, I think it's really, if anybody's got any questions.
I did ask beforehand for all the councillors to submit any questions regarding the service. I think I have got one back, which I think you probably covered in that presentation. It was from Councillor Joan Nicholson, and she said they don't have any service on a Tuesday from the CAB or money advice. And when the food bank is on a Thursday, they only see money advice if they have a client in the room. There's no charge touch, which I kind of think you covered because it was appointments, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the only question I would see.
And I think that was in relation to Anfield Lane. So obviously the services that you currently fund are all, I mean, the expansion of your services in Anfield Lane, but the services that are funded with the rental is from actually the venue in Stanley. So all of them services, not necessarily, you know, and do you want to highlight that? So it is from the venue in Stanley.
I'm very happy to say I don't think food banks ever been charged a rent in Anfield Lane. It's one of the joys, not have to pay rent on that.
So that was kind of the only question that we see. There was a couple of other questions, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had one that said around that CAB's plan that heard on good authority that CAB's plan to put services from standing, or at the very least limit it to 1 day. That is incorrect. I understand and have been sure that there has been communication with elected members around service and citizens advice around funding. It will not affect the delivery and the standing venues. That will remain as 1 day of appointments and 1 day of
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I think you've had a
Yeah, it says the Stanley Town Council have already committed to fund aspect of this, or at least payment how can this be justified? I'm assuming that that's kind of covered because the citizens advice service is not actually covered under that funding. That's funded by Durham County Council funding. And the other one was Stanley is in one of the areas most in need of the service provided. What is the justification of the change? I don't see that it's a change. The need is an enhancement of the service. Yeah. Rather than a change.
Oh, thank you very much. That's well, it's very enlightening, but it's also extremely bad. And it's just the fact that we actually in our area need desperately the services that you provide.
And I think what it does show is how Stanley Town Council are putting money in to the service that is directly affecting numerous people across the whole of our area. But not only doing that in isolation, doing it in partnerships, you know, with the AAK and the services. And that's how we do things, because everyone's having to tighten their belt, and we want to make sure that we provide services for our communities.
And I think also it's not just the services and Stanley, it's actually working with the other step like so we've got Packed House, and we're working really closely with all of those external partners to make sure that we're collaborating and joining with those services to make sure that there is no wrong door that people can walk into access advice and support in the Stanley area. So and like I would just like to say, like a huge thank you to Stanley Town Council for supporting since 2018, because it's been, you know, it's great for the services, but it's absolutely fantastic that we can support the residents the way that we do. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Do we want to? It's on the agenda, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
obviously we were going to agree the funding tonight, but obviously we'll do that after you leave. So I didn't know whether you wanted to stay for the rest of the meeting or whether you just to leave now.
Let's go back to see how many questions.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Everybody
Thank you.
Okay, right. Oh, I'm such a bit minutes here now. Oh, please. It's right. It's which is on the yeah.
Yes.
Wait. Right, we're just down to the confirmation of the minutes, this is confirmation of the minutes,
It's the one that agrees the,
oh, right. Yeah, so that's, yes, we'll do it before we move on,
we just agreed to the principle.
yeah.
So that's all right, Chair, and I'll go back to that.
Yes.
Funding.
Yeah.
So at a previous meeting, the advice service had issued a request for funding for next year. And we agreed it in principle, and we also agreed it in the budget. Obviously, a lot of councillors had a lot of questions, and there was a bit of confusion, thinking we'll look in the CAB, and in fact it was the money advice. So now that you've had a presentation from money advice, it's just to whether the councillors want to agree to continue to fund it.
Yeah.
As Sam said, the rent hasn't changed, 7,500, and the amount that we're looking for the debt advice has increased to 30,000, or alternatively, as she said, we could go down to 26. So it's really for councillors to decide.
What do we put in the budget?
We put in the budget 26 plus the 7, just in the budget.
Yeah.
And for me, when you look at the value.
The value of money, yeah.
The amount that we're
Yeah.
actually putting in, and it's the return.
Yeah.
For our communities, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Are we looking at 26, or could we possibly up it to 30? I don't like it when you look at it like that, Anne.
And what was the budget, do you know?
It was 26.
The budget was 26 plus the 7.
Plus 7.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could,
I have a contingency, so if everybody's in agreement and we're happy to support the 30,000 for the work that we do, then we could accommodate it.
right. Are we, do we need to have?
Can I make a suggestion? Is the funding for just this 1 year? Is that what it is? And normally is it funded repetitive years?
Yeah.
It may be worthwhile, grant the years funding, that gets you to the end of this council year, if you like. But ask them to come forward and look at for the future, if it's a long-term thing of a funding where they then got, instead of year to year, you can plan, and you might get some savings back from them by saying, if it was a 4-year deal, for example, going forward.
Right. Aha.
And then you would know for your budgets instead of every year not knowing what you're gonna need.
Well, good point. Just, I think you know that one out. Right, we'll have the proposition that we up it to 30,000 plus this 7,500 for this year. Do we need a vote? Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Anyone not agree? That's neat. Okay, all right. Thank you. Will you just let them know where that is? Thanks, Sam. Okay. Now, moving on to item 8, which is confirmation of the minutes of the full council meeting on the 27th of February. Anyone got anything on here that? No, can we agree them? Can I have somebody second? Yeah. Okay, can I have a second for that? Thank you. Right. Yes. Oh. Okay, that's yours. Thank you. Right, clarification of proper officers' roles and delegation arrangements. The council is asked to resolve to confirm that Mrs. A. Barry be the council's nominated proper officer for the interim period, pending the appointment of a new chief officer in accordance with Council Standing Order 15A. Noted that in accordance with Standing Order 15A, that Mr. J. Harper would become the nominated proper officer in the absence of Mrs. Mulroney. That all previous and current delegations granted to the former town clerk, locum town clerk, would continue to be undertaken by the interim proper officer. Okay. Right. We have to resolve that. Can I have somebody to nominate it, and you yeah, and you second it, right? Any
Just.
Folks for? Folks for, I guess. Right,
Yeah.
right, I should just said any votes against, that's probably the
So-
easiest way. Oh, anyone against? Anyone?
Quickly ask a question. We've got Stuart here now.
Yeah.
So what's his role?
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's a help, it was my suggestion to put that on because when we had the discussion last week, there was a little bit of confusion in relation to the roads after local Crackington on the basis of what James saw. What we should do is the proper office and road, you need somebody day to day.
Yeah.
So that's Anne. You've already have that under standard orders that you can fulfill that role, but that's day to day. And just for clarification, we said if I'm happens to be off, he can act up for that. My role isn't, I'm not acting as clerk, I'm acting as mentor to support these two, but also offer some strategic advice to the town council to get through some critical issues going. That's it. I'm not undertaking a proper officer role. Unless we change the mind. No. It's cheaper that way for you as well.
Okay, so we agreed on that, oh, we agreed?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, let's see it. Item 10, accounts for payments and bank reconciliation. Schedule of payments, schedule of receipts, bank reconciliation. That's attachments B, C, and D. I'm going to take these all together. Right. No, you're going to right. Move it. Can I have a second for that? You're going to right. Gordon Leeway. Oh, Gordon Will. Oh, just pick the boards as that. Just choose one of them for seconded. Yeah. Right. So, is to consider the attached information and approve the payments of accounts and local bank reconciliation. Are we all agreed? Is there any questions first of all? Anyone got anything you want to ask Annabelle? Right. Okay, can we agree that then?
Yeah, agree.
Thank you. Planning, item 11, planning applications. The delegated list has been circulated and I don't think there's anything, has anything been flagged up that we were, no. So that one's all right. Resolve the receipt of applications. Any objections? Nobody found anything to object to?
No.
Right. Update from Durham County councillors. Anybody got anything world shatteringly important to update or anything? Anybody? No. Well, you meeting's not until tomorrow, is it?
We did it though. And I suppose that the covered budget was agreed the day after our last.
After our budget, yeah.
Meeting, but other than that, there's nothing.
Nothing.
There's
No. Yes, Gordon?
Well, obviously, a couple of things, the issues around Margaret Terrace are continuing, it's on board.
Oh, right.
So also, it looks like, mutual agreements are really war memorial time for the. I don't say that's gonna come, hopefully, very shortly. This has been going on for about.
I've heard that one more than once.
I think we have to do it.
Right.
It seemed to go quite well. It looks like we're within, we've got to get a solution.
Because that one has been running and running, hasn't it? Yeah. Anybody else? No? Oh, good. Town clerk update. Members to receive an update from the town clerk. I think there's probably everything that's needed to be updated being covered, does it?
Just a couple of things.
Yeah.
One was a freedom of information request that
Oh, right.
so the freedom of information request was received from one of our councillors. Unfortunately, the information that was requested was further back than our electronic records. So in order to find the information that's requested, it would take a considerable amount of time. And that's something that everybody knows we're short of at the moment. So I wouldn't be happy to authorise it at present due to other priorities. But I said to the councillor, I would add it to the agenda for councillors to make that decision if this piece of work was considered essential and takes priority over all of our other outstanding work. So I did ask the councillor to come prepared tonight to put the reasoning forward for the request. the alternative was, you know, we could have invited the councillor into the office and we could set aside some time up to the fee of the freedom of information request, an officer's time up to £600 to look for that information. I don't want to go into the detail of which company the information has been requested about. But I just wanted to, it's about the time it takes us to provide this information, and it does say in one of our standing orders, in our publication one, about archive material. You know, if we haven't got it, you know, we can't supply it. So I didn't know if the councillor who raised the freedom of information wanted to add anything. No.
Right. So basically you note that and say that it's just,
Just remember information, Freedom of Information Act doesn't give an automatic right just to complete sick information, because if you're not careful, some organisations could just get swamped. So there's lots of reasons to, and it's classed as what's reasonable. If information reasonably available, you can do that, but the £600 is a limit on time. And if you're working on, depending on what staff's doing that, it doesn't take very long. Because you could argue that £600 limit, if you put all your own cost on, would probably take about 4 hours, 3 4 hours.
right. So we've noted that, and really, well, it's not. I wouldn't think it would be a time.
And then one more update.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a real quick one, just in regards to the allotments. Obviously, members will be aware that from the last full council, we changed from a working group to a committee. We have held a committee since then. Some progress has been made. Stuart, in his advising capacity, has been helping with the transition plan for the next year. We're working with officers of PCC to see how that looks like. And there's lots and lots of different technical issues that are having to be looked into. The committee have identified, however, that we do need to increase the committee from 4 members to 7. That would, I suppose, would have to be in the town council have in place. So if there are any members that are interested in being on the allotments committee, please let me know, and we'll try and get that sorted out. Unless there is any members that express an interest, action rights. Alex.
So we need.
That's great. So if we could get one more, that'd be great. Is there anyone else from the major political?
I would have thought once was enough for anybody else.
I think we can run them an evening if need be.
I can do it if it was, well, I can do some, it's going to be less harder.
It is, yeah.
So this is the whole point, is so that the committees continue to go ahead. So if people, you know, if there are members that can't make it, it means that the committee can still go ahead. So we have 4. Do you see what I mean? So it is. So shall I put you down? And you're all right, Lee? And you're happy days. That's done that really.
There you go.
Thank you very much indeed. You will enjoy it.
Not a lot.
To be fair, I think they probably might.
Yeah, it is good. Working well together, I
I
think.
love it.
Thank you for that, members. That was really good for me to have that so quickly. But yeah, you will get an update as we progress, but we are going through intricate bits and transition.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's solved that one. Thank you very much. Item 14, events update. You're on.
Right.
And what are you going? How are you going to do it? Are you just going to?
It's just Alex was holding up the design.
All right.
So.
Yeah.
We just want to commemorate, as the council, it's really important that we
commemorating day, and it's the 80th year anniversary. And obviously in the month of June, we've got Armed Forces Day, we've got big events on in the town. So we thought a way of commemorating this would be to have a memorial site within the town centre. So working with the DLI, we did our committee meeting that we'll meet with every third Tuesday of the month. And we've been discussing this with them and members, and it's been a working group meeting that we're going to have this memorial made, which was what Alex was holding up. And it's going out. This is this very not to scale.
I've got to go one in the office. If you want to see it.
Yes.
That's what it's going to look like. Alex's great drawing.
You colouring in. I should know that to do it.
So it's going to be located at the beacon site. We're proposing it would be the wall, it's the bottom wall under the fence. That it would be facing south down, and then we'll have the remaining 4 walls for any other anniversaries or anything that we want to. Yes, another thing.
Can I just ask you, how is it, what are you going to make it from? Is it,
It's going to be metal. It's only going to be.
oh, right, yeah,
So it's not going to be a standing hazard. Nobody
Yeah.
can stand on it. Peel it off, hopefully not. So
Can we come in there just quickly? It'd be, the letters will be fabricated and powder coated, freshly laser shaped so that they, you know, no disrespect, Alex, it won't. It'll be properly aligned. If anyone does know the beacon at the minute has the Queen's Jubilee on the centre and it's written around like that. This will cover the lower wall, so it stands up. So I think it is right that actually we do remember this. And then, like Anna said, it'll allow the other sides to do it. But when we do it, it's not just going to be us going to stick it on. I think
No, there's
we'll,
going to be a
we'll be-
memorial service where the Reverend's going to be invited, the DLI will be there, and anyone who would like to, involve the whole community. Again, if anyone wants to be involved, there's our committee regarding armed forces that we hold. To get the opinions of everyone.
and just in case anyone's wondering why about the beacon lighting, the request was to light the beacon at some ridiculous hour. It's like 9:15 at night. Well, I don't think anybody's going to want to stand around on Stanley Front Street at 9:15 at night so that we can just light the beacon. So this is the alternative to it, because it was going to be a non-starter basically.
And I think we would like children to be able to attend as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's really important that happens. So
Right. Okay. Is that's thank you very much. Right. Events updates, and we receive your report. Thank you very much. Website comparison report. It's attachment E, which I've got now. We'll do that before. Right. Comparison report to facilitate the purchase of the new website. Yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Just to give you a little bit of background, you probably are all aware that our website has not been functioning as well as we would like it to for quite a while now. We've got a technical guy who helps us out at the moment, who's kind of keeping it afloat, but we could lose it at any time because it's so old now. So we went out and Stanley Town Council went out and got a quote from a company who had been supplying other services to us. And then our technical person who's helping us with the web service got another 2 quotes for us to consider. So I don't know whether anybody's had a chance to read through the report and actually go on some of the council sites. I've had a quick look. I haven't had an in-depth look. There's elements of different sites that look much easier to find the information and to navigate. I don't know if anybody else has had a look and we've got any suggestions about
I think for me, it's the whole compliance issue, you know, it's a statutory requirement that we have to have a website. So we can't not have one. And we also, the statutory requirement that it is WCAG compliant. So that for me is the most important thing. So if they don't all have that, then whichever does.
I think at the moment, the independent guy who looked at this for us, the company who has got obviously the most years of producing council websites and is web content accessibility guidelines, that in what the WAG compliant means, you know, which to be although it's the most expensive, seems to offer us what we haven't had, and a bit more reliability.
Let's make a comment there. I mean, like members, you know, they need to consider that, and we've updated the public here tonight that, you know, we do want to start getting our communications right and make it, you know, the best ability it can be. So, you know, from an officer's point of view, the very best, you know, the public deserve the very best to access the information that we put out there.
Yeah.
So right, but it's really to see if we can agree a way forward.
Have everyone had time to look at this? Right. Just reading through it sort of very quickly then. I mean, it's from the looks of it that the aubergine one is the one that the person is recommending. And I have to say, look, I haven't looked at any of the sites, but the testimonials on here from the councils, and the fact that they have actually, over 400 council websites all over the country, including in the northeast.
Yeah, it's about particularly the guy. Sorry, when I read it, I think they got some else. Didn't he make some comments that despite this might still be an aubergine, but didn't he almost have some reservations of some of the other one?
Yeah.
So it was aubergine still all right.
Yeah.
It's only because I'm going through a similar process,
Yes,
and the aubergine is not in this, so I'm going to wait and see what you're thinking.
I mean, I've looked at a few websites, so if we get agreement tonight, then what we'll do as officers is have a look at a percentage of those websites that we already do, and maybe pick out some of the ideas, because I've looked at some of them and I've like some sites have got a better way of accessing finance information, and some sites are better at advertising the events and everything, so if we can maybe pick the best design that we feel that people would find.
I think what's the beauty of actually all of these different types is it's a mix and match.
Yeah.
So it's very much allows you to choose what we want. So for example, we would possibly want there'll be a widget to do with like a calendar, for example.
Yes.
We would want that, a calendar of events, because that's something that we don't. So that would allow me to do.
So on the back of that, then, Councillor Stevenson, maybe we come back to the next meeting, having looked at some of these sites, and maybe making a list of some of those options, and then you maybe present them, and then see what everybody thinks.
I think that's
a good idea.
I think that would be the best idea.
Janet, I know you've been using our website quite a bit lately. You'd be welcome to come to the meeting as well, and you know, and give us your view as well. You know, from a resident. That would be
I'm a non-techie person, so I really struggle.
You can sit with me then.
I think
the biggest issue with the website we have is
sorry, Gordon. Sorry.
We do one work at a time. And it says, you got from sort of still that solid insurance.
Yeah, well, what he said was,
if you didn't do that, it would work out quite expensive.
That's right. So it can work out expensive depending on how much data you want to transfer over. So one of our projects that we've already started is looking to see what we've already got on there, what we don't need, what needs to be there, you know, and that type of thing. So that's already started. And then what we'll do is we'll contact the company and ask them, you know, for the exact costs of transferring, and we'll compare that, because he did say he could transfer the data forwards as well, you know, without getting
all of it, just getting it.
all of the information together.
Yeah.
And you know, Janet, one of the biggest problems with our website is Roland was surely deteriorating, and things like a search function, which would be really, really useful, it's fallen over and it's not working. So some of the things that we'd like to do going forward are around building that whole communication, the engagement, some of the things we're talking about tonight about the actual financial side of things, engagement with yourselves, that could be facilitated through the website and our social media. So we are trying very hard to get all of those things lined up, and this is one of the things that will help to go towards doing that.
So can we briefly Anne's spare time, in your spare time. We'll go back, we'll look into it and get us some, well, a bit more information. Really. And you never know, if you want to contact them, they might be more than willing to help. In which case, that's it. Yes, okay. So we've agreed that's fine. And guess what? We're coming to the end. Item 16, community public access defibrillator. She said. This is a letter from the Red Sky Foundation. So did you have that?
Yes, Chair. So we received a request from Red Sky Foundation regarding taking ownership of one of their defibrillators that they having installed at Oakley's Park in Stanley. And I asked them what that would mean if we took ownership. Obviously, they are funding the actual purchase. They are looking for guardians who would go. So if the defibrillator is used, they get a message to say that it's been used, and you go and you reset it in larger. So that wouldn't be done by us. That would be done by the guardian. So they were looking to us to see if we would take over, because Durham County Council asset management team have said that Red Sky needed to take ownership of the CPAD, and they've come to us to say it's not possible for them because they've got 600 throughout the northeast and further afield, and we wondered if that was something we could consider.
Right.
The insurance.
Yes. I don't know. It would.
The insurance fairly minimal. I've got 3, and it's minimal. It's basically it's for theft and damage. There's no liability on the use of the data, just because you have.
What's like the one?
I would say the maintenance can be a little bit onerous if you have a few. I've had them where it goes down like all the time. You have to keep going out, checking, resetting, so.
But if they're going to get the guardians to do that, if they're going to, I think they are intended, from the sound of this, that they're intended to be looking for people to do that.
I think it'd be a good idea, put it down there. You don't good thing now, even the school, as you know.
There's often recorded costs of the requirement. Which is about £50, 25 years.
So my
cost going to £20 a year, we're looking for insurance, so you're very probably
So
Don't think about the cost of a replacement pad, because I know that there's one on part-time, it's quite a lot.
And it can get quite expensive, so who's going to be responsible for that? Will that be part of the fundraising that they're going to do?
They supply the transport, and all it's the, it's your website.
Oh,
Right. Yeah, the 15 to 20 pounds, but if I used like every day, that's used once a week or whatever. it's
Yeah,
not
that's
so
soon, man, so.
Yeah, but is, you know, are they looking to hopefully get somebody to do fundraising to cover the batteries and that, and it really just us having negligible insurance on the thing.
And it's the.
I mean, at the end of the day, to me, they're invaluable.
Yeah.
I'm okay, she's still completely down
No.
we just comes in, the council can get. And, you know, end up with a bill that we weren't expecting. And if they're gonna do fundraising, cover.
I mean, if we can just clarify that they're going to do some fundraising.
That would be best.
Yeah, just on the fundraising element, I mean, I don't, you know, personally, I think it's a great idea to have them all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, the lives and.
And as you say, that one, the one at Pat and the one, I believe, on the chemists, which is in the middle of the street, it's been used several times.
What happened to the ones?
It's still
Still there.
So I'll leave it, I'll leave it.
Well, we spoke to Red Sky, didn't we, and advised them we were leaving, and that Durham County Council were taking them back, so it's now
Whoever.
Durham County Council, but
Yeah.
obviously we're aware that there's nobody actually using the building, so there's nobody, I don't know if they've got a guardian going up and down to check it.
I just didn't know whether it was worth speaking to Red Sky to actually say,
Yeah.
we don't know what's happening with that, so could they utilise that somewhere else, or could we utilise it somewhere else in the community? Maybe where I don't know, when you talk to them,
I'll go back and ask, just double check all the
Yes.
but I think Angela's right, and if we end up supporting not just this site, but many more sites, then it becomes a start the mental, so we'll just get further clarification, I'll bring that up.
Thank you very much. You don't want to, right? Right, we've now reached to the end of our, so that's what I have, thank goodness for that. Right, date and venue next meeting, Tuesday, the 23rd of April, 2024, 6:30. Venue to be confirmed. We were going to, I don't know, we are going to circulate, and I believe the next, I can't remember where the next one was. I know we've had.
I thought it was going to be at the venue.
The venue, yeah.
We haven't got confirmation yet,
Right.
so we'll try and get that in the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And then
And if
we'll
not, it
email
can
them.
just be down here.
But we will try and get it out of the
Okay.
community.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for your attendance, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much to all, Dennis.